Hi, it's Sue Greenwald here with Awakened Stories. I'm here today with Deanna Carr with the Mystical Moonlight. Hey, Deanna, how are you?
How good are you doing today?
I'm doing great. We're going to do some Q&A follow-up on some previous videos that we've done. So if you haven't seen the original video, please go back to the playlist and look for them first because they're super interesting. The first one is about Milton Hershey, who's the founder of, the Hershey candy bar, the Hershey town, which is adorable, and Hershey Park, and all of that other thing that goes along with that. And
Mhm.
as we know, Milton had signed a contract, so we'll call it he made a deal with the devil, we'll say. All right, he signed a contract. All right. So, as part of the contract, was it in the deal that Milton's wife would die earlier than he would?
No.
Oh, okay.
When you have a contract, you don't always know the results.
Right.
And I know that sounds weird because you're like, well, it's a contract.
Right.
Well, they're going to go in ways that they can get around things, okay? So let's say they had a agreement of, this is like your end date in a sense.
Yeah.
They don't have to actually follow it. They can have little things in there that say this is what's going to happen first, and you don't really know about it.
Oh,
All they say is this is what's going to happen, and they don't really stick to it unless you have in fine writing saying there is no way to alter this end result. There is no way to, find a wormhole. There is nothing else you can do.
right.
You'd have to have that in part of the contract because they are going to wiggle their way through anything they can.
Okay.
And for that, it wasn't really meant for her to go first. He actually was thinking it was going to be the same time frame, because he didn't really want to deal with those emotions. And so part of it is they just do what they want to do, especially when having a contract like this.
Wow. So they find they don't disclose it, like, or they mislead the person.
Mhm.
So,
Oh, yeah.
so basically, he didn't realize that she would be going first. I think she died at like maybe I want to say like 27. I
Mhm.
don't know if that's true. I don't remember that far back, but it doesn't matter. But then they didn't have children, and like, if you read any of the accounts, they really wanted children and all that. They were
Mhm.
such a sweet couple. But did they want kids, and was signing the contract one of the reasons they couldn't have kids?
They did want to have kids at one point in time,
Yeah.
but they realized that the kids weren't going to actually help them in any way. And especially with, wanting to run a huge company, wanting to travel, it really wasn't going to be suitable for their lifestyle.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's where they kind of switched out of that.
Yeah.
Now, at one point, they did want them.
Okay. Okay. And so what we had said in the previous video was that, Milton Hershey had created this beautiful town. He created, all the Hershey stuff to keep everything in one spot for convenience, so that his, we'll call them associates in what they were doing were close by. All right.
Yeah.
So they were basically trafficking. So one of the things he's done is he's created the Hershey School for, we're going to call them orphans. Back then it used to be the school for boys. And he did that specifically so they could get their victims, if you will. Is that correct?
Yes.
All right. What about the Hershey Nursing School? Was that founded for any nefarious reason whatsoever?
Whenever you talk about medical stuff, yes, there is always something nefarious going on.
Okay. Okay. So we know that there's all sorts of stuff going on in hospitals now. And
Yes.
so that was no exception. And I'm assuming it's still going on.
Yes.
Okay. Anything we should know there, or we can just come to our own conclusions?
Well, I mean, you can come to your own conclusion, but most of it's going to do with body parts and blood.
Okay.
Usually when you talk about base stuff, that's the base stuff.
Right.
Other, they're not as deep into the black market there, I guess you could say. Meaning they're not just selling off whole humans. It's mostly parts and blood that they're getting rid of in
Right.
a non-okay way.
Right. Okay. So I think the viewers got the gist there. You know, it's hard to say this without getting in trouble anymore, but thank you. Okay.
Yeah.
Anything else to follow up about Hershey, Milton Hershey, or the Hershey area that you can think of?
No, I mean, it's kind of one of those things like
Yeah.
we've been there. I mean, it's really pretty,
Yeah.
which is funny because it does have good energy. Like it's fun to be there. I
Yeah.
don't really feel any time that I've felt ick.
Yeah.
So they do have a good way of hiding it. And I think some of it is so subtle that you wouldn't pick up on it.
Right.
Like the nursing, it's not something that the school is doing heavily. Like it's so subtle that
Right.
nobody's picking up on it.
Yeah, I would agree. The energy there is very good. It's out in the middle of a beautiful countryside. I mean, the town is
Mhm.
adorable. I mean, like
Mhm.
a lot of people go there to do their thing, and it's just really well, everything's structured and all that. But,
Mhm.
you know, when you find out what they're doing, it kind of takes the fun out of it, you know.
Yeah.
I might have said this in our first video. I was on like this tour, a trolley ride, and they took us all around town and gave us the history of everything. It was so fascinating. Like,
Mhm.
and of course everything was untrue.
Yeah.
So there you go. All right. If you have a couple more seconds, I have a couple more questions about some other topics.
Okay.
All right. So we had talked about Mr. Rogers, and that was a
Hmm.
big one for people because everyone knows Mr. Rogers. All right. So he was
Yeah.
the children's show host that, of course, was into network, you know, the child trafficking network as well. And so people wanted to know that if other shows like the Mickey Mouse Club, well, there you go, or Captain Kangaroo show were also dark.
Yeah.
Both of them. Captain Kangaroo?
I don't even know what Captain Kangaroo is, but yeah.
He was you know, a guy that had a kids show. I think it was in the 60s or 70s, and I'm sorry I can't give you more than that.
Most,
But
honestly, most shows, most things in Hollywood, even nowadays, is run through child trafficking or selling of humans. Um,
mhm,
yeah, I mean, I don't really know too many shows that don't have something bad with them. I mean, even think about Nickelodeon that just came through
yeah,
a year ago. They
yeah,
made whole documentaries about this.
mm,
And that was something that was big through my childhood.
yeah,
Um, and that was not even just one show, that was a whole network.
right, right,
So, yes, there are most shows that we've seen, most Hollywood, most everything that has entertainment in it in some way, shape, or form has some sort of trafficking and
right.
or abuse happening.
Right. Okay. So we know that you know, participants in the Mickey Mouse Club, for example, were abused or whatever
Mhm.
happened. Okay, we don't know the details.
Abused, I mean, some of them went on to be super famous, but ended up actually getting more abused.
Yeah,
A big one we can talk about is Britney Spears.
yeah,
She was in the Mickey Mouse Clubhouse, and we know how that's kind of turning out.
yeah, yeah. And there'll be more coming out about her, I'm quite sure. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like,
Hmm.
yeah, it's pretty ugly stuff. So, but Captain Kangaroo was also like part of that as well.
Yes.
Okay. That was a big concern from the viewers because everyone loved Mr. Rogers and they were very upset with him, which they should be. They
Yeah.
should be, right? Okay. Um, we did a quick video on Robert Johnson, who was a blues player. I
Okay.
think, and he was from Mississippi, super poor, made a deal with the devil. There's a common theme here, guys. And basically became famous way back when, cut a few records. And my question is this. It said, if you research him, it said that he had a big influence in the 60s and 70s musicians. Okay, so that affected the music going forward to today. My
Yep.
question is, did he only influence those that were dark? Is that what they meant? Like, did he really have a legit musical influence, or was it something more nefarious?
He was one that it's kind of that mix on, when you listen to a song and all of a sudden it gets stuck in your head, but you're like, I really don't like the song. But over time, it's like, okay, I can get into this. I really
Yeah,
like this song.
yeah.
It's kind of like that. Like the other musicians probably weren't super drawn to it if they were not dark, but over time it kind of picked up. It's something that kind of took over because it had that dark energy attached to it. So yeah, it did affect more than just the dark musicians.
Okay. So that kind of blossomed forward. Like
Hmm.
his music was and then it hit the 60s and 70s, and it influenced a lot of people, which influences music today.
Yep,
And we're still listening to his 60s and 70s movie. So it kind of blossomed forward, right?
yep, yep.
Okay. Last little batch of follow-up questions for today. The
Okay.
Salem Witch Trials, we had done a video on that, and
Hmm.
Um, the question was, is it true that a man whose family had connections to Salem, possibly a judge, that he owned most of the property around the Amityville horror house? That was a question we got.
I'm sorry.
All right.
So a judge that's in Salem.
Yeah, a guy that had connections to the Salem witch trial. So this is way back when. Did
Yeah,
he own much or most of the property around the Amityville horror house?
I'm getting yes.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
And all I wrote down is that this guy was a big landowner at this point. So we know that the Salem witch trials were partially about a land grab, right?
Yes.
They take the women especially. They were defenseless. They would, basically kill them and take their property. All
Mhm.
right.
Yes.
And there were a lot that died in jail that we don't hear about or tortured or whatever. But this dude owned all of the land around the Amityville horror house.
Yes, that's what I'm getting.
Okay. So I'm taking he wasn't a good guy.
No,
Okay. Is he still alive?
I'm getting no.
Okay. Okay. I'm not sure what else to ask. I
I'm
actually haven't watched the Amityville horror. It was like
Yeah,
about a poltergeist, I think, but is that
I
true?
have no idea. I don't know what it's about.
I don't actually know either, to be honest. So,
Yeah.
um,
I'm sure Alan will hear this and tell me that I need to watch it now. So,
don't watch it. Don't watch it. But okay, so he did own the land. So he was one of the land grabbers, not a good guy. Okay,
yeah.
summary version. All right. Anything else to know there? Okay. All
Okay.
right. Thank you guys
Yeah.
for watching. We do these Q&As to follow up on previous videos. Please watch them for more info. And of course, put your questions down below.
Yes.
Thanks, Deanna. Appreciate your time.
Of course.
All right.
Bye.
Bye-bye.